Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Welcome to this episode. This episode is brought to you by California Avocados Direct. Thanks to California Avocados Direct, they make the podcast more accessible to more people. And thanks for them to supporting the podcast because they believe in the mindset of the podcast and everything we do. And they truly help me and other athletes take their not only their mental game, but also their physical game to the next level with their best quality avocados that comes straight from their family farm in California. So if you haven't yet, make sure you go check them out and use the Athletic School code for 10% off. But let's get into the episode because every athlete grows up hearing the same thing. You should get faster, you should get stronger, add 10 pounds here, add 10 kilos there. You have to run 2 miles less than 12 minutes and all those things. We train and protect and optimize, and the results will come as long as we're doing those things to our body. But today, I want to push back a little bit, and I want you to be open-minded as I go through this episode because I have watched, I have studied, I have lived a lot of seasons, and I came across a truth, I guess we can say a truth, that our body is not our biggest asset, our mind is. And if you don't believe me, just stay here with me because I got some studies, I got some examples that in a lot of people, a lot of the books that I have read, that I'm going to prove it to you that you should be training your mind just as much as you train your body, if not more. This is your body isn't your asset. The sports culture make us think that we should train physically first when it comes to recruiting, scouting, combined numbers, all those things. It's all about body metrics, injury recovery. Everybody obsessed over the physical timeline. Almost nobody talk about the mental one. And think about college athlete, 20 years old, juggling school, sport, and figuring out who that person truly is. Everyone around that person is managing her body, her sleep, her nutrition, and her reps. Almost nobody's teaching her how to manage her mind. And then think about, let's call it John. A few years after college, his body is still capable of performing, but sometimes even more capable than was in college, but he loses that edge at anyway. And the problem is, nobody's ever built on the mental asset, on the mental side of the game, only the physical one. And here's the point. There's two athletes, same training ages, some genetics, long term. The one who comes out ahead, it's almost always the one with the stronger relationship with their mind, not a stronger body. A few years ago, I read the book Mindset by Dweck, and she made a study for decades in her research with athletes. She found that something simple but powerful, that players who believed in the ability came from effort and practice, not just from natural talent, performed better the following season. And what they believed about their coach's value mattered even more than what they believe about themselves. So it's not about being the talented one on the team. It's about believing that work compounds. Second study, it's just a wild one for me. So researchers from Harvard, they studied 84 hotel room attendants. They told one group that their daily work, like cleaning rooms, already met the Surgeon General's recommendation for an active lifestyle. And they told the other group nothing. Same work, same hours. 4 weeks later, the group that was told the work counted as exercise showed real physical changes. Lower weight, lower blood pressure, less body fat, better waist to hip ratio. Nothing physical changed except one thing: what they believe. The mind moved the body, not the other way around. And this is the placebo effect showing up outside of the pill bottle, because It's the same mechanism, just applied to how you see your own training, your own body, your own effort. But this is the most important part, and I want you to pay attention fully. Most people think that success works like this. You want something, you chase it, you force it into existence through a lot of effort. But a few years ago, I came across the work of Joe Dispenza, and he completely flips that order. His work is built on the idea that you don't force a new outcome into existence, you become on the inside the person who already has it, the nervous system, the emotions, the identity, all that shifts first. And the result on the outside is just catching up to what they already changed on the outside. So I'm doing another Ironman, and I'm training again for the Ironman. And I want you to think a little bit about it with me. You don't grind and grind until one day you become someone who finishes an Ironman. You start training, thinking, and recovering like someone who already is that person. Calm when the legs get heavy, unbothered by one bad split, trusting the plan even when it's uncomfortable. The finish time is just the natural result of that. And it's the same thing with confidence. Stop waiting for confidence to show up after the results. Practice carrying yourself like that confident person, that confident version of you. Right now, in the small moments, when you walk into a room, walk like you own the room. In the team meeting, in the warm-up, after a mistake on the field. And for the athlete who feels like that identity ended when your eligibility ended, it didn't. Being an athlete, it's a way you move through a day. It's not a scoreboard. You can rebuild on purpose instead of grieving the version of you that's gone. Deepak Chopra talks about something close to this in his book on the 7 spiritual laws of success. I'm not going to repeat every single word, but two of the ideas fits perfectly here. One is when you give value freely, your energy, your encouragement, your effort toward other people, that tends to come back around. The athlete that shows up with a real interest on their teammates and becoming training partners is building something that lasts longer than the one who's only chasing personal numbers. And the other one is that should perform from a place of ease instead of force. And for the Ironman, I've doing a lot of heart rate training, and this line up exactly with this type of training. Your best long run isn't the one you grind out and you finished almost dead. It's the one that comes from a relaxed, present state, less tension. Usually means better output, not less. And another idea that I want to leave you guys with is that your internal state, your energy, tends to match and attract what happens around you. And I want you to be careful here because this idea leans more spiritual than scientific. And I'm not saying it's proven the same way that the Dweck and the Harvard studies are proven, but it's a perspective worth having in the back of your mind. Especially the part about you don't create what you want out of nothing. You become the version of yourself that already has it, and it shows up. Let's think about teams. How many times have you seen the more talented roster lose to the scrappier, to the tighter team? It happens because belief and identity inside the locker room matter more than the roster physical ceiling. And that's why right now in the World Cup, we see so many smaller countries that don't have as much history in the sport winning against big teams, big countries. And if you take anything from this episode, I want you to take 3 things. If you are still playing, before your next game, take 60 seconds and decide who are you going to be out there. Not what you need to do, but who you need to be. You need to be confident. You have to be composed. You have to be coachable. Let the actions follow that identity. If you are off that chapter now, rebuild your athlete identity, but with purpose. Pick one thing every week, a run, a lift, a pickup game, something that isn't about competing with anyone, just about reminding yourself who you still are. And for everyone else listening, this week, Notice one moment where you attempt to force an outcome, and instead practice easing into the identity of someone who already has it. Your body will follow your mind eventually. It almost always does. So the real training, the one nobody puts in the program, is deciding every single day who you are becoming, not what you're chasing. Understand that your body will follow your mind. That's it for this one. If this hits for you, make sure you share with a teammate, and I see you guys next week on the next episode.